Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
I thought the Mi 4 and the Mi Note were very interesting from Xiaomi. I've never seen a Huawei phone. This is a Huawei?
Yeah, so I mean, people are not used to Huawei in the US being a high-end flagship phone manufacturer. This is kind of one of their flagships.
Gosh, it looks a lot like the iPhone 6.
So it's interesting because it's actually called the Huawei Honor 6 Plus.
And like the iPhone 6 Plus, it's only 5.5 inches.
It's 5.5 inches, 1080p. And look, it looks in terms of industrial design a lot like an iPhone 4 did.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
iPhone 4 or 5, I guess 5.
Edge. Yeah.
5 or 4. And then it ends here, very interestingly, kind of like down with a plastic edge.
The plastic, and that's for the antennas probably,
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. And so what's
they
interesting...
also have the brake that the iPhone 5 had on the side there.
And what's interesting about this particular device is that it's really quite awesome, but you can't get it in the US at all. Like, and if you import it to the US, it's a dual SIM phone, first of all, which a lot of the phones in China are. It has LTE, but the bands are in no way, in any way, shape, or form compatible with any LTE we could get here in the US.
Something to remember when you buy an international phone is it may not be compatible with it.
So this has 3G compatibility for T-Mobile and AT&T.
That's, you know what, that's okay.
And it's HSPA plus 42, which is pretty damn fast.
The T-Mobile HSPA plus, partly because you're not getting any competition, actually is pretty darn fast.
Exactly.
I'm happy with that.
But the reason I brought this phone to you guys is not because it's a Chinese phone, but it's because if you can see here in the back, it's a dual camera in the back. As we've seen,
what's that?
We've seen the Duo, right, from HTC.
That was a 3D camera, right?
Yeah, but this is not at all that here.
Oh, that wasn't 3D. That one, there have been 3D cameras.
So there's been 3D phones from HTC and others.
But on the M8, that was a depth sensor, right?
Sensor,
yeah.
So it wasn't the full camera, the second camera. What they've done here is they've put 3 cameras total that are 8 megapixels on this phone. 2 in the back, 1 in the front. So it's great for selfies. They're all pretty much identical specs. And what's really interesting is with these 2 cameras, you can do variable aperture. So you can change the focal length to like f/1 to, so not focal length, aperture from f/1.0 roughly, all the way to f/16.
So
in software. While you shoot and after the fact.
So later you can change the depth of field.
You can refocus and change the depth of field.
Interesting.
It's really cool. I'll show you right now.
And it does that with 2 cameras.
Correct.
All right.
And it also gathers more light and low light because it has 2 cameras, twice the pixels.
So are they interpolating the images from the 2?
Correct. And it's amazing. So this is the reason I wanted this phone, and I want to show you a little bit. So you get a couple of camera modes here.
Do these Chinese manufacturers use the same Sony sensors as the
I have really no idea what they use. You want to put maybe a sheet of paper or something?
Just put something with a lot of detail.
So we have like a cool...
cool.
What we want is actually this is good. What we want is something that we have some depth of field in the back as well as like this is good.
I'll do that.
So there's a wide aperture mode that I've just selected. Can we see this on the camera right now? Yeah, there we go. So wide aperture, and if I select here, you can see this kind of diaphragm. You see it? I'm going to
it's got a manual control for aperture.
Aperture. So you can change the aperture from f/0.95 all the way to f/16.
By the way, f/0.95 is a very wide aperture, and
it's very shallow depth of field.
Even on a DSLR, that would be a very expensive lens.
Let me actually shoot this maybe with your hand in the way, so we have multiple depths here.
So we'll have 3 planes. We'll have the chat room, this piece of paper in my hand.
Here we go, and I'm going to shoot. And so what we're going to get now is a picture that. After the fact, I can change stuff on.
Well, let's see. Now, we've seen this kind of variable focusing on Lumia phones.
Yeah, so watch. So now I can...
my hand's in focus.
I can, first of all, pick the focus mode. So it's going to be a little dimmer for the camera. I don't know why, but it goes in a dimmer mode here.
Okay.
So watch. I can go like this, and I can select the paper and be in focus.
Oh, it's now in focus. My hand's out of focus.
Let me actually just bump
the depth of field's beautiful in the bokeh.
Let me just bump the brightness real quick so that we can...
Because it really does dim it, doesn't it?
I want to crank the brightness a bit so that we can actually use this.
This is Android 5.0?
No, not even close. This is 4.4.2 or something.
KitKat? It's not even KitKat.
I don't think it's even KitKat. So here you go. We can see it better now. So I can pick the hand, right? And it's in focus. I can pick the paper and it's in focus. I can pick the chat room and it's in focus, right? But here's the killer, watch.
Now, I have to say, we've seen this on Lumia and other phones before, but this is so much better.
I can now focus everything if I want. Now everything's in focus.
Because it's f/16.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. And then I can go back to like maybe an in-between step. If I can find this, like
that's very interesting.
And after the fact, and then you can save that resulting file into a JPEG. And so that's one of the cool things about this phone. And then let me show you some that I've already taken so you have a better idea what I'm talking about here. There we go. Hang on, I got to find the...
There we go.
So I got a few here. I took
some of those night shots were pretty dim.
Yeah, so here, this one is a really great example.
Liquor bottles on a shelf.
Right? So I go into the mode where I can select this.
So even after the fact,
right?
you can
and
continue
so watch,
to do this.
I can pick this bottle or that bottle.
So even
there,
after you've saved the photo
this
out.
one back here. Hang on. I got it. There you go. And then this one back. Hello, hello. Back there. Anyway, you get the idea. And I don't know why I'm holding. There we go. I was having two fingers on the screen. That doesn't help us. And I can go to the back here and focus on the back bottle. And of course, I can do everything in focus. And then a little bit less in focus. And night shots are pretty amazing. Let me go back to the regular mode. So night shots, this thing has the ability to set the duration of your shots. So you can do long exposures like this, where the bus is super long because I held this super steady. I rested on the tripod, actually. But look at the quality of the light it gathered. This is ISO 100.
Wow.
Right? Look at it.
Wait a minute. You can get a shot like that at ISO 100?
Yes, because
you've
long
opened it wide
exposure
up.
and this dual camera, you get twice as many pixels. So I'll show you this mode real quick. There's this night mode, which you have to select. It's kind of a bit convoluted.
Don't have lollipop
So
on.
super night mode here. You see this auto setting down here? If I tap on that, I get here. I'll show you. I get to choose exposure and ISO. You see that? See the values I can choose? So I can make long exposures up to, what, 32 seconds? Or some ridiculous number? Where is it? No, that's 32 seconds. So I can set the ISO to 100. And here we go. So we have ISO 100, 32-second shot. So, you know, if I want right now, I can take a shot of us and have lots of artistic fun with it.
What is the chance that other manufacturers will have technology like this at some point?
I hope that's the reason I wanted this phone. Is I'm really hoping that they'll execute on this and we're going to start seeing this on other phones, because it's really the future, I think, of photography. The biggest challenge with a camera phone is that you can't have variable aperture, because the lenses back here have fixed aperture. So now all of a sudden, by putting two of these, you get better low light, and, you know, because we know it's not about megapixels. It's ultimately about being able, like Nokia has shown us they can simulate an analog zoom using pure view pixels with large arrays, and you zoom in and you have lossy zoom. And this shows us you can simulate aperture. So this, and Nitro has shown us what you can do for focusing.
What are these different apertures, the two different sensors?
There's no technical information what they've done, but my gut feeling is one is probably f over 2.0 and one is f over 8.0 or something. And then they can go a little beyond that in software. And it's very clever, really. So that's kind of what I'm excited about on this phone. And to be frank, there are many other things about this phone that are really delightful. It is a really nice high-end phone overall. I'm going to change the brightness back to a little more friendly. So it comes with this really weird launcher, but you can thankfully replace it with the Google Now. This doesn't have an app tray. Every app is on the launcher.
Oh, that's weird.
Which is really odd. And so that's a bit of a pain, but it's very easily fixed. You just go.
It's iPhone-y, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
This looks like an iPhone.
But here, you go into here and you can change it to the app, the Google Play one. Watch.
So if you
Manage
chose
apps.
your own launcher and customized it,
so
you could make
I'll
it
change
look
it.
as up to date.
I found a way to change that. It wasn't working before, but if I go into here, I can change it to Google Now launcher and change, and then guess what? Now it looks like a Nexus with Google Now here and app tray here, right?
You'd have to use the camera app that it came with, I think.
Yeah, but you pretty much have to benefit from it. Otherwise, if you use the default Android app or like Camera FE5, which is one of my favorite, no, it just lets you use the camera as it normal.
Right.
I mean, it still probably uses both sensors to create a night shot, but you don't get that adjustability that I showed you guys in night shot. The other thing I want to really point out quickly to wrap it up is some of the specs on this phone, so people have an idea. So it's using Huawei's own chip, a high silicon 8-core, octa-core processor that's pretty much equivalent to like a high-end Snapdragon 800-ish in terms of specs. 3 gigs of RAM, Only 16 gigabyte of storage, but there's a micro SD card slot in here. Again, this has LTE, but the bands are not compatible with the US. So as you can see there's dual slots. I have one slot up there that's set to 3G AT&T, and the other one's empty. And yeah, I mean, it's a gorgeous display. It's an IPS panel, as you can see.
Why don't Chinese manufacturers offer these phones in the US?
Because they don't have a brand. That is why Lenovo bought Motorola and is going to continue selling basically their phone as Motorola's, because they have no way to get in. And also there's a whole issue with the government, right? Like, people don't trust the Chinese to not put some sort of spyware in here. And I think personally it's silly, because they make wonderful hardware and wonderful product. This phone doesn't sell for a lot of money either. It's in the $400 range.
That's the other amazing thing.
And
of course, the market
I mean,
will
look, it's
allow it.
metal. And, you know, the cool thing is dual SIM, and one of those SIM slots is either micro SD or nano SIM. You have a choice. So you can either have two carriers connected or some extra storage. One of those SIM slots converts into one or the other.
They do sell in Australia, according to Bleak, so they're not unusual outside of China. It's
They
just the
are
US.
not, you know, it's just the US. Like, we're not going to get infrared sensor up here so that you can use the remote control.
I
So
love that.
like, in terms of specs, it's a high-end it's a high-end phone. There's nothing unusual about it in that sense. But yeah, it's running a bit of an older version of Android, and it's obviously not available. And if you get it to use it here, you're only going to get 3G on it.
So it'd be silly for me to say try buy or don't buy, because you can't buy.
I mean, look,
This
I
is a
would say
can't buy.
buy if you're in the right part of the world,
Yeah.
like Australia or China. I would say try if you are one of those people who goes through a lot of phones and imports them on a regular basis. I bet you this thing on eBay is worth more than $400.
Can you go to places like Expanses and
I'm not sure if,
Alibaba and buy these
I'm not
things?
sure if this one is available on Expanses, but
Alibaba probably is.
Probably is.
Yeah.
You know, Negri Electronics used to be around and import these things. I don't know if they still do.
Interesting.
And then, yeah, I mean, I would not, I wouldn't say don't buy, because it's a great phone. Everything about it is nice. It's snappy. It's got,
I think we're going to
all
add
the specs.
a new one called
buy if
Can't
you're,
Buy.
Oh, can't buy.
We're gonna
I
add a
like
new-
that.
Yeah. It's not buy, try, or don't buy. It's can't buy.
So here,
For the Huawei Honor 6 Plus. Miriam Jouar, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it. Very cool phone. And have a safe flight to Barcelona.
Yeah,
we look forward to live reports from the Mobile World Congress.
Yeah, I'll try to get you as much kind of video snippet coverage that you guys can like put into
we'll find
broadcast.
places. Believe
sure.
me. Mike Elgin will also be there, and we'll have live coverage of Mobile World Congress, the best coverage we've ever done, starting Saturday when the first events begin. And, of course, Mobile World Congress itself begins on Sunday, March 1st.
Definitely, yeah.
And we'll see you when you get back. Thank you,
Yeah,
Miriam.
thank you.